Hey, good morning. This is Alana, and when it's at this angle, it doesn't look like I'm looking at you, so sorry about that. I've never made a live YouTube video before, so I'm giving it a try. And I've done a couple of live Facebook videos, those came out pretty good. I've got a thing here that wobbles. Okay. So I'm hanging out here in my yard this morning, and something came to me, so I wanted to share it with you. And if you know about my work or not, I don't know, then you know that I created a website, metaphysicsforlife.com, because I'm interested in the nature of reality and how things are made. So there's all of this stuff going on right now. It's June 3rd, 2020. Um, we've had, I'm not going to say because I don't want to get, I know that YouTube is censoring a lot of stuff these days, but you know what's been going on in the world, and then in the United States, all of a sudden we have all of this violence going on in the cities. Not so much down here. Okay, I'm in a rural area of Southern Oregon, and nothing. We haven't been shut down. We've been living life almost normally, except that the tourist industry has been obviously not doing much this year. So anyway, I'm out here. I sit under my trees in the morning, and I like to meditate. I'm surrounded by trees and vegetation. It's very peaceful. And so I just ask, what is really going on? What's really going on? You know, you can go on to YouTube, and all kinds of people are out there saying, this is what's going on, that's what's going on. And I wanted something from the heart. Okay, if you know what I teach, it's, you know, I try to get love-based truth from the heart. Okay, what's out there is what's in, you know, the mind, the head, and I want to know what's coming from the heart. And so, all right, let's get to the point. This is what happened. Okay, I got into a deep meditation. You know, I was asked to, you know, breathe deeply, which you always do, of course, you want to do. But also, then I started getting this guidance to put my hands like this. Oh, my eyes were closed, and it was like, look up with my eyes closed. And then you can also put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, which helps um, activate the pineal gland or something like that. I forget. It's been a while since. And also about, you know, putting my hands like this. So I was breathing, and what I was experiencing was that I was being told to breathe what was out there in the mind into my heart. Okay, breathe it into my heart. And then it was being breathed out through my arms, through my hands, up into my mind here, and then out like this into the world, into the, and this out here is the mind. Okay, everything that we see out here, this is space time and thoughts, thoughts, feelings, ideas, and images that are in the mind. Okay, so anyways, so I'm breathing what's out there into the heart, out through my arms, and then up through the top of my head and out into the world. And I just kept doing that. And what I was told is that whatever is in your heart, okay, is giving substance to whatever is in your mind. All right, the thought forms in your mind. And you know, we tend to think about that this is a, you know, a 3D holographic reality. And oh, there, now it looks like I'm looking at you. Okay. So we tend to think, we know this is a 3D holographic reality, and we tend to think of it as, oh, being projected from somewhere out there, and then we're experiencing it, you know, with our senses, and that's how it is. What I'm being shown here is that what's out there is coming from in here, actually. Not just, you know, theoretically or figuratively. Oh, there's a critter. What are you doing out there? All right. A little frog or something in the grass. So, so yeah. So it's not like there's, you know, something out there projecting this 3D holographic reality and we're in it, you know, experiencing it. What I'm getting is that it's coming from in here. And so the important thing is that whatever is in your heart, okay, whatever is in your heart, is going to give substance to what's in your mind, the world out here. All right. And I'm bringing, should have brought some water. I'm bringing this up because there's so much going on in the world right now that it's easy, to give substance to it with fear and anger and frustration and all of those things instead of um, instead of going within and giving that substance, you know, with that. And what I'm talking about is, you might be thinking, okay, look, if there's something out there that's, threatening our health, I'm not going to say the word because I don't want to get censored. Let's say there's something out there that is supposed to be endangering our health. And of course, you're supposed to be afraid of it, right? And take precautions and those types of things. And so you might say, well, how can I possibly give some substance to that with anything other than, fear or that type of thing? What I want to say is that if you can give substance to that particular thought form with love-based truth from the heart, okay, then you're not asking yourself to give substance to that thought form with, with things like gratitude or love. And because we can find it challenging to give substance to those things that we are experiencing in the mind that we've already given substance to with fear-based beliefs, whether it's come to us, through the media or our own past experiences or however that happened. Okay, when we gave substance to that thought form at that point, we were coming from a place of fear in our hearts, and that's how uh, it happened. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Well, I should talk about it now before I forget. Um, this is a change of subject. Okay, we're going to take a little detour here. I um, Years ago, I was meditating out here, and I asked the question, how is all of this made? And I was asked to open my eyes and look at the tree that was in front of me. Okay, it was a big maple tree like this. And I looked, and it looked like it was made of glass. All right? And, but it wasn't solid glass. It was like a vase. Okay? It was like, it was hollow, made of glass. And then the voice said, watch. And what happened was that as I watched, these little balls of light flowed into the shape, the form of the tree. And I don't know if those were photons or a little bug on my leg here, um, or whatever, but they filled the tree. And then, as I was watching, okay, those little photons turned themselves inside out. And when they finished doing that, it looked like a solid tree again. And it also felt like a solid tree again. And years later, I came across an article by Nassim Haramein, a physicist, and he had figured out the mathematical formula for a sphere to turn itself inside out without it having to be punctured or damaged in any way. And I'm like, well, there it is. It can happen. So what I'm saying is that when the um, everything is formed by light. We already know this, energy and information, the form, energy, the light. And then for us to have a 3D physical life experience, the energy has to turn itself inside out like that so that we can experience illusion of separation. Okay, me here, you there, the tree over there, things like that. And then our perception of that is, the illusion of separation, and that's where the feeling of fear can come in. All right. And when we take that fear, the illusion of separation, and turn it right side out again, that's what I call seeing with the eyes of the heart. All right. It doesn't mean that everything all of a sudden looks like glass filled with light. We still experience this physical life experience in the same way. It makes it possible to have a 3D experience. But when we open the heart again and give substance to that form with love-based truth, okay, then we become aware that we're not separate from it, that we're creating it, that it is in our mind, and that it's coming from here. All right. So, all I'm suggesting is that as we go through these times, all right, that one way to have a better experience of it is to take those things that are causing stress, fear, that you're experiencing with that you are giving substance from your heart. If there's fear and stress in your heart as you experience those things, then that's what you're giving substance to. And if you do this meditation with the breathing, and when you're in that place of peace, okay, yeah, I forgot this point. Okay, this is key to the point, is that you are aware that you are drawing in, okay, all the form and substance from your mind into your heart, okay, and in your heart, okay, you can give substance to it with love-based truth, all right, because it's happening in your heart. That's our connection to source. So it's not even you that's doing it, it's the divine, God, source, higher self, whatever you want to call it. Um, so it's getting in touch with that place and drawing that in here, giving substance to it, and then sending it back out into your mind. Um, you kind of have to experience it. One thing I found was that it's a whole different thing actually doing it and feeling it versus talking about it or describing it or thinking about it. It's not like thinking about, okay, I am now giving substance to that tree with love-based truth, or I'm now giving substance to that bird that's tweeting with love-based truth. Um, it's an experiential thing that isn't so much, you don't think about it in your head, okay? It's an experiential thing that happens in the heart. Um, so one of the reasons I'm talking about that is that that's how uh, I have been changing these experiences in my own mind, but also in other people's minds. And it does result in changes. Sorry, I got a bug that I have to swoosh away. um, so what that does is it does change the experience from our own point of view in this collective consciousness. But what I'm working on now, what I'm working towards now, is how can we help shift the substance of thought forms that are shared in our collective consciousness. Things like, well, this, health issue that we've been looking at, or, the monetary system that, is having an effect on the planet, climate change, things like, uh, one thing that we share in common is, uh, president president of the United States. I hope it's okay to say those words these days on YouTube. I don't know. So when we're giving, when we have a collective consciousness issue like that, most of it is being manipulated by media on the outside, because that's the only way you can manipulate fear is from the outside, from here. When you're coming from the heart, the only way to reach people is, you call it psychically or whatever. When you communicate from here, you can't communicate this over YouTube. You can't communicate it over the television, So you go in here, and then we can communicate with the collective mind. And I'm bringing it up because years ago I was working in television, and one of my coworkers was working on virtual reality. And he told me that he was working on an object. And he said, in order to create that object, you have to have 7 points of view that you're working from. He says, I have to create it from here and here and here. There's 7 points of view, front and back, this side, that side, up and down, and then in the middle, the point that you're focusing on. And I bring this up because then years later I came across a book called Power of Eight by Lynn McTaggart. She discovered that when she had groups of people working together, uh, in groups of 8, that they would send healing energy to the person who was in the center, But then they found that the person who was sending the healing energy was healed as well, and that there was this magnification of the energy in this group. And so I thought, wow, that sounds just like virtual reality. If we're creating something from 7 points of view. So what I want to do is I want to experiment with bringing people together in groups of 7 and focusing on things that are in our collective consciousness. All right, the things that are kind of on a global scale right now. And so I created a Patreon page finally, and I'll have the link, I'll add the link below the video later. Um, and yeah, I want to try to get together in groups of 7 and see what happens, if anything happens, if we do this together, focusing on one point. Okay, what we would do is we would have one person be in the center who would say, okay, I'm working on giving substance to this health concern thing, global health concern thing, or some aspect of it in my heart, and then the other 6 points of view around it, we would also focus on that person and amplify that. But of course, you have to do it in yourself, not in them. You can't do it in another person. So I'm just wondering if we do something like that, with 7 points of view, will we be able to create a new collective experience? You know, will it appear as an actual virtual reality? You know, not a new thought form, but have new substance. So, for example, you know, if you're concentrating on the POTUS, for example, and you give substance with love-based truth to that thought form. And I'm not talking about the person who fills that position. I'm talking about the position itself. Okay, just the form of it. Like a tree is a thought form. Okay, and it can take many different shapes. It can take many have different substance. So I'm just talking about when I say POTUS, you know what I'm talking about, right? And giving substance to that. And then if we all, a group of 7, give substance to that thought form with the love-based truth together, okay? And then we go about our daily lives. That's how this always works. And then perhaps others in the collective consciousness will also start seeing love-based truth in that thought form. And who knows what might happen? We don't know. So anyway, I'm going to put a link below this to go to my Patreon page and sign up at, you know, at any tier that you can. I do have 3 tiers. One is for content, one's for classes, and the other one is for the Circles of 7 that I'm calling it. And sign up for Circles of 7 if you can. If you can't, sign up at any of the others, and you know, we'll make groups out of those when we can. So I see that one person did join me. Thank you. I was experimenting with YouTube. I've never been YouTube Live before, and so I can't see the comments or anything. I have never used it before. But anyway, I'll put the link down below, and if you can go to Patreon and join at you know, one of those levels, and then we'll see how we can get some groups of 7 people together and experiment with this and see what happens. All right, now I have to figure out how to turn it off. This might be it. Hold on. What does this do? Nope, that's not it. Interesting. Okay. All right, well, I see an X here. I think that's going to turn it off. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you at Patreon. I hope to see you in a circle of 7 and give this a go. Thank you. Bye.